Good evening and welcome to the second season of TFF Talks. I'm your host, Danny Cook, and tonight is our season opener as we discuss all things Premier League and reflect on the opening weekend of the Football League. But before we begin, this show is sponsored by Classic 11 Shirts and brought to you by Crofer Media and halftimecuppa.com. You can find all the links in the description below, and if you are watching live tonight via YouTube, please do send in your questions and views to us in either the chat section below or to us via Twitter at @OfficialTFF. And we plan to read these out throughout the show tonight, so please do send them in. Don't forget you can catch up on all of the previous shows, including all of last season's episodes, and one that really stuck out in my mind when I was listening back to a few the other day. And it had to be Mr. Jury's saucy singing on our Christmas show. So, yeah, definitely worth a listen. Check back, and I think it's under the Christmas special, around about 20 or something like that. So definitely worth a listen. Anyway, on to this evening. I am joined by Max Hayes, an aspiring football journalist, Nottingham Forest enthusiast, and founder and host of Matchday with Max. Hello, Max.
Hello, Danny. How are you?
Fine. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Good. And joining Max tonight, we have Amanda Smith, who is manager of TFF's sister blog, Overtake Motorsports. She says she's a weird person who thinks driving a car or riding a motorbike means you're a sports person. Knows nothing about football, but supports Brighton and Hove Albion. Anyway, Amanda, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Not a problem. So Amanda joins Max on the panel, and we also have Ben, who is the TFF manager, a posh fan, groundhopper, and lover of all things football. Ben, welcome back. And Ben's disappeared. Okay, so we won't.
I'm here. Nice to be back, Danny. Had a good first season.
Oh, brilliant! I'm glad you're back. That's good. And finally, completing tonight's panel, we have Ashley Thorpe, a Peterborough United fan as well, who films for BT Sport at Macclesfield Town and manager at TFF Non-League. Ashley, thank you for completing the panel tonight.
No worries, I'm just glad to be on, to be honest.
Good stuff. Well, thank you guys. Thank you for all coming on. Before we get into the nitty-gritty stuff, I've just got a quick question. Just want to find out what you guys have been up to in sort of football's absence over the summer. So, Max, what have you been up to?
Well, not a lot really. I've been working on my YouTube ready for obviously the relaunch of the Forest season 2, which I've been working hard on. And obviously I'm a Football League fan, so football returns on Saturday for me, Friday night for my team Forest. But so I've been really just waiting for that to come around. But I haven't been doing a lot, just been working as well with TFF, writing a lot of articles and helping them out too.
Cool. And Ashley, what have you been up to this summer?
Working, holiday, watching a load of cricket as well, just when it's been on telly. And, yeah, been to a few pre-season games as well. That's it, really.
Good stuff. And Amanda, what have you been up to? Have you had a good summer?
Yeah, I've been having a great summer. I've mostly been busy doing stuff for Overtake Motorsport and the Formula One channel, which has been brilliant. Actually, I've really enjoyed that. So,
oh, fantastic! Is there any a little question off the top of my head? Is there anything that you really like about motorsports that you wish football would have? So I know that may be rivalry or.
Definitely rivalry. Like some of the rivalries between the teams and the drivers and stuff like that is brilliant, and I don't always see that in football most of the time. There are the occasional times when I spot a rivalry and I'm like, oh, that's great. I was in Manchester. I lived up there for a couple of months last year. So seeing like the Man City, Man United, I didn't even go out on some match days. It was that bad.
I can imagine. Wow, that's brilliant. So yeah, is there anything else at all? Anything else you find that football's sort of missing as a F1 fan or a motorsport fan? Sorry.
Yeah, more engines. More engines is an option.
Yeah, that certainly is an option. Yeah, that's fine. Cool. So let's bring in Ben, because I don't think that we've heard from Ben. Ben, what have you been up to this summer?
Oh, it's been bleak. It's always hard to fill 3 months of stuff, but so there has been some good news. Though we've been working really hard at TFF over the summer. Reorganising, getting ready to go for season 3, maximising our output, making sure everything will be bigger and better. So big things to look forward to next season. That was a lot of work over these 3 months.
Oh, good stuff. Any sort of teasers any exclusive teasers you can maybe hint at?
We'll have to wait and see, but just keep an eye.
We'll have to wait and see. Okay,
keep an eye out.
You've heard it here first. Ben says keep an eye out, so can't wait to find out what that is. Awesome. Thank you very much. Let's get straight into the meat and bones of tonight's show. Let's start off with the Premier League. So prior to tonight's show, I've sort of asked the panel to sort of bring their predictions with them for the upcoming Premier League season. So let's start with Ben. Ben, we'll go back to you first. Who do you think will win this year's Premier League?
Well, I had a really tough mental battle with myself. I went back and forth a few times between the Manchester clubs. I've actually gone for United in the end. I think the reason I gave them the edge over City was Mourinho's know-how in the league, Mourinho's style, the way his teams always know how to get a result. I think a lot of the players he signed know the league. Oh well, Lukaku particularly knows the league a lot better than Guardiola. See, I know Guardiola has been here for a year, but still, like Mourinho's previous experience in the Premier League, I think will give United the edge. I think Mourinho he was happy with the 3 trophies last season, but I think deep down he knows that he needs to get back to winning the league. So I think he's going to put everything into the season. I think United will just scrape it, to be honest.
Okay. You brought up an interesting point. The thing about the 3 trophies. Now, if I recall, correct me if I'm wrong, one of those was the Community Shield last year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that caused a bit of a stir on social media when he'd done all the 3 fingers on when they won the Europa League. So my question to the viewers who are watching, and we'd really like to know your view, do you count the Community Shield as a major trophy? So let's hear your thoughts on that. We will read them out in due course. So thank you for that, Ben. You've given me a brainwave, so cheers. Let's go to Amanda. Who do you think will win this season's Premier League?
To be honest, I have absolutely no idea. I was looking down the list at the various people in it. I'm probably going to have to agree with Ben here and say it probably will be United, though I wouldn't be surprised if there would be another team surprise this. I don't know why. Chelsea's the only other one that's coming to mind, but I really don't know how well they did last season. I can't think. I can't remember.
That's okay. No, Chelsea had a good season last year, didn't they?
It was all right.
Yeah, it was all right. So yeah, I mean, I'll be interested to hear everyone else's views, and then I'll come back with my own, because I'm sort of on the fence. I'm a bit like you, Amanda. Actually, I think it will be a Manchester club. So yeah, let's go to Max then. Max, what's your view?
Same with me, really. It was picking out of 2 Manchester clubs. I've gone for United top. I think they'll win it. I just think they've got the strength in players, and like Ben says with Mourinho, he's a fantastic manager. He knows how to win leagues, and I think that's key. A key role for it to win the Premier League. So I've gone with Man United, and Man United.
Okay, so that's 3 for Manchester United plus me, so 4. Ashley, you going to finish it off?
Yeah, I'm going for United as well. Only because City haven't got a centre-half that is on the level of Company. If they had another centre-half on the level of Company, or if Stones was on the level of Company, then I reckon City would win it. But I think the way that Mourinho's recruited, he's seen the gaps. They needed a strong midfielder. They've got Matic, new centre-half, Lindelof, and plus another striker, Lukaku, and with probably some others to come. Can't look past United at the moment.
Yeah, fair comments. Just actually, just whilst we're on Manchester United, what do you guys make of Lukaku? Is that really a good deal for Manchester United, Max?
I think it's a really good deal. I think he's a fantastic player, and I think Everton have lost a really good player there. I think we all knew. I think he was going to go this summer, but it's a fantastic piece of business from Man U, and it's going to really help them if they are going to win the league. I think he'll really help them push on.
Okay, and Ben, was you surprised that he went to Manchester United, say, over Chelsea or any other Premier League club?
Yeah, I thought I didn't think he'd go to Chelsea because I think what they missed a lot in the Community Shield final yesterday was like the hold up, the play with striker Costa was so pivotal last season. That he's big. People don't always like him. He's big, strong, physical, holds the ball up really well, is good in the air, and those are all attributes that Lukaku has as well. So I thought he would have been the perfect replacement for Costa. Not that he could do the job as well, but in the way they play is very, very similar. So I was expecting Chelsea to make a move, and I think Chelsea will miss someone of Costa's build and attributes up front next season, which is why I didn't have them to win the league. So yeah, I was surprised, but yeah, United have done well there. I think he offers something a bit different to Ibrahimovic, something to link the play up a bit more pace in behind. I think he just gives them, because they were often in games last year they did struggle to break teams down and maybe score more than the one goal. I think Lukaku is a little bit different from Ibrahimovic, can give a bit more options the way they can play, the different attacks they can create. So I'm impressed with that signing.
Okay, let's move on now. Let's take a look at who you guys have gone with to fill up the rest of the top 4. So we've all gone with Manchester United as number 1, the winners. Who is going to fill up that top 4? Let's go to Ashley first. Who's going to be in that top 4?
Because it was so hard to choose between them, I've gone for City second. But because of the quality they've got that they have brought in with Bernardo Silva, Mendy, Walker, to name a few. And then third place, Chelsea. And then fourth place, Spurs for me.
Okay, so Arsenal not going to make it then
No.
for the, I believe, second year in a row, right?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, interesting stuff. Ben, who's made your top 4?
Okay, so I've gone for, this is no particular order except for City second, United, City, Spurs and Arsenal. I do think Arsenal will make it. I think Kolasinac looks like a good, solid defensive signing, especially on a free as well. Don't get many bargains these days. Lacazette, I think Lacazette's going to be a really good signing for this season, and in the sense that Arsenal were just behind Liverpool last season, and I don't know how Liverpool are any better than last season. They've signed Salah, but the attack wasn't their problem, and you can make a case for will Salah even get a start? So I don't think Liverpool are any better. I think Arsenal are better, and I think that will help them leapfrog Liverpool into the top 4. And Chelsea, yeah, a bit concerned. I do kind of think the whole defending champions curse could well strike again. Not maybe that Conte will leave his job in that sense, but I can't see Chelsea replicating it. I think they've let a lot of their squad players go, so they have an 11 and literally nothing else at the moment. So they need to buy in fast. I'm concerned about them, so I don't think they'll make it either. So yeah, United City. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, we'll bring in Amanda now then. Amanda, who's made your top 4?
Pretty much the same as those that have already been suggested. I've put Man City in there, Chelsea and Arsenal, I think. I'm having belief in Arsenal. Obviously, they did very well this weekend, and I don't know. They always seem to do well, and then it all kind of tapers out in the mid-season, and they struggle. But I hope that this season they might actually be able to kind of keep their beginning form going. So fingers crossed for them.
Good stuff. And I think it's just Max now. Max, who's your top 4? If Max is there, we do.
Sorry, yeah.
Oh
yeah.
no, I was going to say we do have technical issues, don't we? We always have.
We always do. It's exactly the same as Amanda. She has taught the words out of my mouth. They were the ones I wrote down, and it's exactly the same comment about them, really. But fingers crossed for them as well.
Fantastic. Okay, well, thank you. Let's move further down the table, only slightly further down the table. Obviously, we've got there's a various number of European places up for grabs. Obviously, these are Europa League places. And these kind of depend on how well English clubs perform in European competitions and obviously various domestic competitions. So I'm going to sort of try and make this a simple question. Who outside of the top 4 will be challenging for a European place? And we'll start off with Ashley on this one.
I reckon Arsenal, Liverpool and Everton. For me, I think to be honest, I think they'll fill up the 6th, 5th to 7th places, and just depending on like you said, depending on cups, they'll be all will be in the Europa League.
Cool. And let's go to Max this time. Max, who do you think is going to be there? Max. Okay, we'll come back to Max. Ben, who do you think is going to be challenging for the Europa League places this year?
I think there will be Liverpool and Chelsea. And if 7th is lucky enough to earn a place, it will go to Everton. I think Liverpool will struggle, building on what I said before, I think Liverpool will struggle to reach the top 4. I don't think they've improved defensively anywhere near as much as they need to. Plus, they'll have Champions League games as well. So that I think that's really going to push them back down into the Europa League. Chelsea, again, got concerns about their form. And Everton, it does seem a little bit harsh. I did feel a bit bad putting them in 7th after all the players they've brought, but I don't know. I don't know what it is, but I still just can't see a way for them into the top 6 at the moment.
Okay. Just a little pause, a little gap. Thank you to the guys that have sent in questions so far. I've got them parked. They're safe. They will be asked later on in the show. We're just going to finish this segment first anyway. So, Max, are you back now? I could hear him coughing. I hope he's all right. I hope Max is okay. In the meantime, we'll go to Amanda then. Amanda, I've noticed a pattern with Ben and Ashley's sort of predictions so far. So
the prediction being that they actually know football.
No, but it's in like there's a lot of the same teams are coming up here. It feels like. So I don't know if you have any different on this one.
I don't. I was going to go with Liverpool and Everton as well.
Yeah.
I think, again, what's being said, I don't think Liverpool are good enough to break into the top four and challenge them, but I do think that they will definitely be challenging for a place in the Europa League and stuff. So.
Okay, and let's see if Max is back now.
I am back.
Awesome. So yeah, you've just heard Amanda's.
Yep.
I mean, you've probably heard Ben and Ashley's as well.
Well, I heard Ashley's, and then I think Ben's just because I had a few technical issues. So
that's okay. So who makes your Europa League places?
Well, the same as really everyone. Liverpool, Everton. I think Liverpool could challenge, but like Amanda says again, I don't think they're good enough. It depends if they get it right. If they bring in a few more players and get the January transfer window right and push on as well, they could, but it's not a very good chance for them to break in, if you know what I mean.
Okay, let's switch our focus to the other end of the Premier League table. Unfortunately, every season there's 3 teams that sort of fall through the trapdoor. So I'm going to ask you guys now who you think will be the unfortunate teams to be relegated this season. So we'll start off with Amanda. Who do you think might be in amongst the relegation places?
I think there is the potential for possibly Swansea to end up down there. They looked like it for quite a while last year and then eventually kind of clawed their way out. But I don't know if they're going to be that lucky this year. I think there's some very strong teams amongst them. I'm really not sure. It's hard to call. A part of me is, as obviously they're brand new to the league itself, Brighton and Hove Albion. But as a Seagulls fan, I don't want to see them get relegated because it's taken us forever to get up here. So I'm really not sure. But I hate to say it, but I think Swansea might come a cropper this season.
Okay, and yeah, I mean, obviously you've mentioned the struggle has been. I've got a few friends who are Brighton fans, and I've been cheering them on when they're in the playoffs, and it's come so close every time.
It's come so close. It's been painful to watch at points, but we're here now, and I don't want to see us go down again. It would just break us.
Yeah, I'm so glad you're there anyway. So hopefully you'll have an enjoyable season anyway. So
yeah, fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Let's hear from Ben now. Ben, who's your free to go down?
I reckon that I'm afraid to say it, but I do think Brighton will go. I think the investment it is tough. A club, any new promoted club, really trying to attract players, and I'm not sure Brighton have recruited enough. I think as well Huddersfield. I think they will go down. I mean, I'm looking at the clubs in the league to assess how well they'd fit in. I think a lot of the clubs down the bottom are going to have big improvements this season. I'm expecting, better things from the likes of Watford and Swansea and Palace, all under new or quite new managers. So then that kind of left me with no choice but to say I think Huddersfield will just go down. And the other one is Burnley. Again, going off transfer activity, not been massively impressed. I think they're going to struggle for goals this season. That is my concern with Burnley. They're strong enough at the back, but if you score 1 goal against them in a game, that might well be enough to win it. So, Brighton, Burnley and Huddersfield I've gone for.
And let's hear from Max now. Max, who's your bottom 3?
I've got starting from the bottom and going up to the last place. I've got Swansea at the bottom. I'm really not sure about their manager Paul Clement, even though he might have done well last season and obviously kept them in the league. I'm not sure because he's been at clubs like Derby before, and I haven't been impressed with his managerial skills when when Derby have played other teams and have seen. And I really just think Swansea will go down this year. So I've got Swansea and then Brighton. Again, hate to say it, I like Brighton as a team, and I was supporting them in the playoffs because I think they thoroughly deserved it last year. No, sorry, not the playoffs. They're obviously going up, but so I've got Brighton and then Burnley on the last place. Again, like Ben says, not a lot of transfer activity from them, and I really do think that will cost them.
Yeah, I mean, Burnley have been very quiet, very quiet.
They have.
I have to agree. And finally, let's hear from Ashley.
I reckon Brighton and Huddersfield, definitely. I mean, it's just it's a bit dodgy between Burnley, Bournemouth, and Burnley and Bournemouth, really.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm really interested. No one's brought up Stoke actually so far. What do you think? Do you think Stoke could maybe get dragged into this at all, Max?
If I'm honest, I'd like to, because I don't really like Stoke as a club, but because a lot of my friends are Stoke fans, so they always rub in your face, all Premier League, which is slightly annoying, but it depends. They could get dragged in, but like I say, I'm not really sure on that one.
Okay, I mean, I just have a gut feeling I feel they might get dragged into this year. I don't know about you, your friends, Max, but like certainly the Stoke friends I know, they're sort of a bit sceptical of what's going on at the moment.
Yeah, I've got a really good friend, and he's a Stoke season ticket holder, and he's a bit like you. He's kind of got a gut feeling, and he hopes it doesn't happen, but he's slightly worried. And just hopes to me he's thinking silly, and they don't get dragged into it and survive. Well, a good table finish.
Okay, well, we will have to wait and see. Thank you very much, guys. That concludes the Premier League segment. But we've got a couple of questions. I'll park them still till the end of the show. Let's move on to the Football League now. And before we delve too much into this, Max, do you want to take us away with some exciting news coming up, I believe, later on this week? Go on.
Yeah, really exciting news. Pleased to announce it that there'll be a new Football League podcast, an FL72 podcast for the Football Forecast. It's been something me and Connor have been working on. That's Connor Martin, but unfortunately he's away this week, so I've got Josh as my standing host, and Ashley will be on the panel too. So we'll just be talking about a lot of things like a Football League. That's obviously the main subject of reviewing and previewing the games. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. So make sure you tune in. It's on Thursday, 7 till 8.
Fantastic. I'll certainly be there. So brilliant stuff. I look forward to that.
Yes.
So now that you guys know that, we're sort of going to delve into a few key points, but we obviously don't want to overlap or don't want to do what Max and the Football League podcast are going to do. So we're going to try and do things a little bit different anyway. So we kick off with the Championship. So we're only one game in, would you believe it, into the season. But Max, is there any shock results for you?
Yeah, I think a real shock result was Barnsley. I think I'm not sure what the score was. I think it was it 3-1 to Bristol City? I'm not sure. I'll have to.
Yes, yeah, I think
it was. It was. I was shocked because I thought Barnsley, I think they've got a very good manager, Paul Heckingbottom, I think it is. And I think they were one of those teams last season that surprised me. Obviously, and they'd recently only just come up. So I thought, you know what, maybe this season they could push on. But we'll see. But like I say, I think there wasn't a lot of shot results. I was slightly surprised about the Sunderland Derby result. I thought Sunderland would come into it and get a win under the belt, but Derby are always a tough team to face, so we'll see. But there wasn't a lot, so yeah.
Okay, and let's hear from Ben. Ben, any sort of shock results that you think came this weekend?
I was quite surprised to see QPR beat Reading 2-0. So I thought Reading quite unlucky. Obviously, anyone who loses on a penalty shootout is quite unlucky not to go up to the Premier League last season. So I expected them, to come out, really stamp their authority on this league to try and win it. So yeah, I didn't particularly think QPR would have a good season either. So I was quite surprised to see that they managed to beat Reading so comfortably.
Just actually very quickly on that game, do you think it was a case of QPR playing well or Reading just not turning up like they normally would? Why do you think it went QPR's way, Ben?
I mean, I'm guessing probably sort of the hangover effect from last season for Reading. As much as they will want to go up, I'm sure there is still a little bit of the hangover from that disappointment, perhaps. I mean, and certainly they went 1-0 down in the first half, didn't respond. Then they got a red card in the second half before conceding again. So after that red card, I'm sure the players had maybe just down tools mentally. So I'm sure Yap Stan will probably be a bit concerned about that, and we'll got into them after the game for sure. Make sure this doesn't continue for any longer than just this one game.
Yeah, he'll certainly want to get it back on track, won't he? Yeah. Okay, let's bring in Ashley now. Ashley, what did you make of, because another sort of standout fixture for me was the Wolves Middlesbrough game. That's the one. What did you make of that result?
Yeah, I'm quite shocked, to be honest. I thought Borough would do well. I think Borough my tip to win the league this year, and I thought they'd do well against Wolves. But obviously, Molineux is quite a tough place to go, so I think they might have underestimated Wolves a little bit. And obviously, with all new signings and Wolves for him, they probably thought they'll still be trying to gel together. But Wolves played very well and managed to get a 1-0 win. And all the new signings played well, especially like Ruben Neves and that lad Bonatini who scored. But from the highlights, it looked like that Middlesbrough were just needing to work together because I think Braithwaite had a really good chance that he missed. So I think they just need to take the chances from now on.
And what do you make of Assombalonga? Because obviously, if I remember rightly, didn't he used to play for you guys at one point? Yeah. So what do you make of Assombalonga playing for Borough now? What do you make of that?
I reckon it's a good move for him because he's probably one of the best strikers in the Championship, and it's a good move for him to go there.
Max, I hope you're okay. I can hear some sniffles.
I know, a bit sad. Right, well, no. Well, can I add?
Certainly, come in. Yeah, go on.
Well, I've seen him a lot, and obviously he had a terrible I think it was a ligament injury, a terrible one. I saw it happen in front of my eyes, and it's always horrible to see a player get injured. But I think Borough have made a massive risk, even though he is a proven goal scorer and he's a great player. I think they've made a massive risk because who knows, that injury could happen again. I think he's slightly injury prone, and I think they've made a massive risk of paying 14 million for him, which, in my views of a Forest fan, is a fantastic piece of business. And we've already started using it to get other players in as well. So it's a massive risk by Borough, but we'll see by the end of the season if it's paid off or it hasn't really.
Okay, we certainly will. Let's bring in Amanda now. Amanda, I have a question for you. It's sent in by Mr. Crofer himself, who asks, Amanda, when did you first start supporting Norwich?
This is Alex, isn't it? This is Crofer.
Yeah.
No, I don't support Norwich. I will hold my hands up now. I'm probably going to get fired as a result for that, but I don't. You just put that in there. Yeah.
Oh, well. It was worth a go, Alex? So, yeah, actually, talking to Norwich, I don't know if... Well, we'll come on to that in a second anyway. Amanda, let's hear your thoughts. Any sort of shock results? Any results that stood out for you from the Championship?
Admittedly, I was kind of busy watching the MotoGP this weekend, but I was, much like everyone else has said, I was quite surprised with Bristol City and QPR's results. I thought they were very interesting. But yeah, Leeds as well were quite interesting, and I suppose it was nice to see Cardiff win, but I currently live in Swansea, so I'd prefer to see Swansea beat them, even though they're in a different championship, but you get my point.
Totally understandable. I know there's quite a rivalry there. I mean, God, you've lived in some places then. If you've been in Manchester when they've got this rivalry going on, I mean, you're at Swansea Cardiff. That's mental.
Yeah, I came to Swansea for university and not quite left yet. So but I've always been on the side of Swansea in everything, in the rugby, in the varsity when we have that, in the football. So it's quite a big rivalry, yeah.
Yeah, can it get quite toxic at times? At all?
It has occasionally. It's not been too bad actually. Most of the time they are pretty well behaved, but.
Oh, that's good to hear. That's good to hear at least.
Yeah.
Anyway, so moving on. Arguably one of the strangest celebrations at the weekend, certainly in the Championship, was a certain Nelson Oliveira. And for anyone who didn't see it, essentially he scored an equaliser against Fulham, which is a shock in its own mind, bearing in mind it was for Norwich, and Norwich barely get anything from Craven Cottage. So he equalised, and then he ran over to the dugout, took his top off, and pointed at his obviously name on the back with Oliveira in front of Daniel Farke, clearly sort of making a gesture to him as to why you didn't sort of start him and all this sort of thing. Ben, how do you feel about that?
It makes a story, doesn't it? I mean, I don't think he's done himself any favours in the long run with it. I'm sure the manager didn't particularly appreciate that gesture. He's that kind of. I mean, he's that kind of character. I'm sure some will say, "Oh, it's good that he's passionate and he wants to play," but maybe taking it a little bit too far there, and he'll probably the manager's not already told him, he probably will regret that in the coming days, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's certainly divided a few. If you follow Jake Humphrey on Twitter, he obviously tweeted that, and it's very divided community at the moment. Amanda, would you like to see that sort of passion from a striker of Brighton? Maybe who have you got now? Tommy Hemed? Maybe him taking his top off and pointing at a Christian.
I mean, I can understand why some fans are obviously not impressed by it. It doesn't exactly sound like the most sporting of moves, but at the same time, again, this is coming from a motorsport point of view. Like Formula One, we see drivers like jumping on top of their cars and doing victory dances, and there's quite a famous photos of Lewis Hamilton dabbing on his car and Sebastian Vettel doing dances up on the podium and stuff. So I'm quite used to seeing that passion. I'm quite used to seeing people, running around cheering and celebrating with their mechanics and kind of almost rubbing it in the faces of other people. So I don't see that as quite a big deal. I have seen drivers do that to others who have been, passed over for promotion to a better team as a result of it. It's just one of those things that happens. So it's great to see that passion. It is great to see a lot of passion, but I can understand why some people might not be impressed by it.
Is it quite interesting to sort of see that difference between like motorsport and say football or any other sport? That passion, as you say, is it quite interesting to see?
It is interesting to see, yeah, because I suppose the bigger thing with football is it is a team effort. There are all the players out there on the grid, whereas with Formula One especially, you tend to only see the driver. You don't tend to see all of the mechanics working behind the scenes and all of the people back at the factory and stuff. Some of these teams have got in the excess of 1,500 people working for them to get 2 cars to a race weekend, and you don't always see that behind the scenes. You just see the driver winning and you see the team celebrating at the track. But it is a different kind of passion to football, I think, because with football it's very much you see the team that are there and it's them on the day and it's what they do rather than tons and tons of extended people in the background. So
okay, fantastic. Thank you for that. We will have to move on from the championship for now because we're running out of time very quickly. So we're going to move on to League One and League Two combined. So we'll start off with the 2 posh fans. We'll go to Ben first. Ben, were there any standout performances for you from League One and Two this weekend?
From League One and Two, just to say quickly, I was pretty impressed with the posh result. I think we played quite well. Gave me optimism for the season, I have to say. In terms of standout results, I think Blackburn going away to Southend. I think Blackburn were pre-season favourites, certainly my favourites. Thought they'd win this league fairly comfortably. They ended up going away and losing 2-1 at Southend, which I was quite surprised about. All the signings they made, likes of Peter Whittingham, Bradley Dack, Danny Graham. So got the likes of Charlie Mulgrew hanging around. So it's like, yeah, I was really surprised to see them go and lose to Southend. Also League Two as well. There was some really interesting results, I thought, as well. And especially the 8-2 game for Luton. That certainly that was certainly unexpected. Yeah, that was what a way to start the season for their fans. For a lot of them, I was a little bit unsure about Luton. I thought they might be up there, but I wasn't totally convinced by them, and maybe that's probably swayed me to thinking that maybe this could be a good season for them now.
Okay, and let's bring in Ashley then. Ashley, I mean, surely everyone's probably going to say this 8-2 game because that's incredible. But what game stood out for you?
Same as Ben with Blackburn Southend, with Blackburn being pre-season favourites and just losing the opener. But then again, you can't win them all. And I think Norwich lost an opener 7-1 a few years ago, but still went on to win the title.
Yeah, regrettably.
Fleetwood Rotherham as well, because Fleetwood beating Rotherham 2-0. It was just interesting to see if Fleetwood could keep up their form from last year, and I think it looks like they are. If Saturday's anything to go by in League Two, definitely agree with Ben about the whole Luton 8-2 result. Massive result for Luton, obviously, and I think Grimsby beating Chesterfield's an interesting one. I thought Chesterfield would do well. They've brought in quite a few players this year, and so I think they've still got a similar side to what they went down with. So it's just surprising to see them losing to Grimsby. All due respect to Grimsby, but a bit of a lesser side at home on the first game of the season, really.
Okay, well, let's get Amanda's thoughts. Amanda, who sort of stood out results-wise from this weekend's games?
I think definitely the one you were talking about in League Two, the 8-2 game was even I saw that. That was somewhere on my Twitter feed. I think that came through, and I was quite shocked at that. Actually, I was very impressed. Obviously, that was quite a score for Luton. So yeah, definitely, probably the one big thing that I did notice this weekend.
Yeah, and just actually on that, I mean, you've as a Brighton fan, you've got your opening game this weekend. How important is it to sort of get off to a good start?
I think we do want to get off to a good start. We've as I've said or I've touched on before, it's taken us ages to get here, and I think we're definitely one of those teams that I mean, every team's like that. If you start off with a great start, that can go through the season, you can be thinking, yeah, we've won the first game, we can do this. So I think it is critical for us to win that first game, just to kind of give ourselves the confidence boost that actually we do belong in the Premier League. So
Yeah, so very important then. Awesome. And Max,
Yep.
I mean, what sort of statement does 8-2 make for the rest of the league?
Well, I kind of think this statement is for the rest of the league to either it's a fluke and it was just a one-off game and it isn't going to happen every week, or it's watch out because we're coming for the league. But I think like and a few other games as well, like the Fleetwood Rotherham one. I mean, you'd think Rotherham, who just got relegated from the Championship and had a terrible season and had one of the lowest points that nearly anyone had ever got in the Championship, and you'd think they'd come back fighting with new players, new determination, and a really new spirit and a new start. But they obviously haven't, and it's the same with Blackburn. So that, I think, will be a shock to both teams, and hopefully that they'll rebuild and obviously push on for the rest of the season and try and get better results. But I think an 8-2 win's fantastic. And the highest win I've ever seen was from my club Forest, which was 7-3 against Leeds United. That's the highest one I've ever seen. So 8-2 is pretty remarkable.
Yeah, and actually, you've just reminded me. I think I saw. Now, I would need some confirmation for this. So certainly, if you guys want to have a quick search, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I can.
I think Berkhamsted, and I've been down to their stadium and their club, and it's a lovely club. Berkhamsted won 12-1 or 12-2 in the FA Cup, sort of the qualifiers this weekend. Incredible scoreline that. If it is indeed correct, or final scores got me wrong, but
sorry, can you repeat the team name quickly? Because
Oh yeah, I've got it here. Yeah, they won. They won 12-1 away from home.
Wow, I didn't even realise it's away from home. Wow, that's
I was
incredible.
expecting at home. I have to say, 12-1 away. That's a hell of a performance there.
Yeah,
that's incredible. So quick shout out to Berkhamsted. Wow, fair play to them. So let's move on, and we're into our final segment before we answer your all-important questions. So keep them coming in. We're going to talk about the Community Shield now. And, well, I mean, if you sort of missed it yesterday, obviously Arsenal won on penalties. So let's go to Amanda first. Amanda, do you think the Community Shield is a good gauge as to what we can expect from Arsenal and Chelsea this season?
I think it's an interesting gauge, at least. I don't think it's the be all and end all. I think obviously it's different in the league to just playing like a shield like this. So I think it's a great one for spotting their weaknesses and stuff and tightening those up before they get into the actual league and the real big stuff starting. So I don't know. I think it's a good gauge to see what their baseline is, but I think they will definitely improve from there, and I definitely think they'll be looking at where they've possibly not done as well and where they need to improve and sort their strategy out if that was the case.
Yeah, and going back to a point earlier on in the show, Amanda, if you was an Arsenal fan right now, would you count the Community Shield as a major trophy this season if that was like the only trophy they were to win?
If that was their only trophy they won, then yeah, I'd definitely be running around with that going, we've won it. But I don't know. Hopefully, maybe they might win something else. But I think it is definitely something they can be proud of winning. So,
okay. And Ashley, do you think it's? Do you think the trophy's sort of worth it, or is it just, as we've sort of been briefly discussing, is it just another sort of pre-season game?
Just depends how you take it, really. It just depends on the clubs involved. If it's just if it's a bigger club, then they're less likely to value it. But if it's like, say, when Leicester were in it last year, if they win it, they're more likely to value it. So if like I said, if Leicester had won it, they'd be they probably held another parade for it or something, or just celebrated it in more of a way than one of the bigger clubs like Arsenal, Chelsea, City, or United would.
Yeah, and do you think? I mean, backing onto what I've sort of we've discussed, Amanda and I have discussed. Do you think Arsenal fans would be content if they only won the Community Shield this year?
Not really. I think because with the expectation this year is at least be competitive or win the Europa League and try and do as well in the league, probably win FA Cup and maybe League Cup as well. So I don't think they would be very happy with just winning the Charity Shield.
Okay. And Ben, I don't know if you saw, you must have seen the challenge that Pedro was sent off for. Let's hear your thoughts of that sort of challenge.
It was a very strange one. I mean, in open play, it looked a bit innocuous, but having seen it back again, it was from behind. Pedro was nowhere near the ball because he was coming from behind. Fully stood up right into like the Achilles of El Neni. It could have been, I think it was El Neni. Could have been a really dangerous challenge, and I think the referee was right to send him off. It clearly did endanger an opponent, just having a full stud to the back of the Achilles, and he's quite lucky actually. I think that he didn't seem to feel any effects of it at all. Yeah.
To be fair, considering the challenge, he survived it quite well, didn't he? Really.
Yeah.
Awesome. So obviously, Ben, the game went down to penalties, and we got the first chance to, or certainly my first chance to see the ABBA penalty shootout style. What was your thoughts on that?
It's a weird one. I mean, of all the issues there is in football, the penalty shootout wasn't one, and it's just, I don't know, like pencil pushers in the FA trying to give themselves jobs to do. I mean, if it makes somebody feel important that they've researched it and they think they're doing a meaningful job of football, then good for them. But I don't really see the point of it. In terms of the system itself, I think it's going to take a little bit of getting used to. I mean, there was a little bit of confusion when Giroud stepped up. I think a lot of people weren't certain he was going to be scoring the winning penalty. It took people a few moments to realise. I think it does. It can give. I think it can also give like an advantage the other way as well. Like they're trying to make it fair overall, but say for example you miss your first penalty, then the other team go and score two. You're then 2-0 down, and it's like, yeah, I'm not sure it's going to achieve what it's supposed to achieve. At the end of the day, I think penalty shootouts are 50-50, and then naturally you're going to get one side who's going to win more than often. So I don't really see the point of it. I don't hate it. I just don't see the point of it.
Okay, and let's bring in Max. Max, do you see the point of this ABBA? I was going to say ABBA, but this ABBA penalty shootout style. Do you see the point?
Yeah, I think you can see it in both ways really, but in the bad way of it, like Ben says, is if you're and if you miss your first penalty and then the other team scores two, you kind of 3-0 down. So that's what I don't like about it. But then you can see a slight fair advantage with it. But I think it will make the penalty shootout less tense. I don't think it will be the best anymore. And like Ben says, I think it was a bit unnecessary to do because there's more important things that need doing in football. Something like video replay or something that would benefit the game more than that, if you know what I mean. So yeah, like Ben says, I don't really hate it, but it's a thing that I just think is a slightly unnecessary, and I think it's kind of a bad mistake for them to do, and I think they should have focused on something else.
Awesome. And my final question on the Community Shield, so yeah, to you, Max, is how would you sum up the quarter penalty in one word?
Oh, just awful.
Awful. Ben, I'll tell you what, let's go across the panel. Ben, what's your one word to describe Courtois' penalty?
Goal kick. It was just a goal kick, wasn't a penalty.
It's 2 words, isn't it?
Wow.
Oh, it's got the little hyphen. Yeah, we'll let you off. We'll let you off, Ashley.
I can't really say the word I'd honestly use for it, but rubbish.
Fair enough. And Amanda?
Shocking. Shocking's the only word I can use.
Yeah, I think you guys have all summed it up pretty well. Ben, I'll tell you what, it honestly did look like a goal kick, didn't it? It really did.
Yeah, just
Man.
no.
Oh well. You can't win them all.
Well,
anyway,
put your keepers up. Definitely can't
No.
win them all.
No, actually, just on that quickly, Ben. I mean, what did you? Was you surprised to see Courtois taking a penalty then?
I just couldn't believe it. I mean, I know Conte tried to justify afterwards, like, oh, he's one of our best takers, but if you're Chelsea and your second best penalty taker is Thibaut Courtois, that's quite concerning. I think it was just, I don't know why he said it. I think he's over defending the players, and yeah, it was just crazy. Imagine like if that was an actual like Champions League game or something and decided to send him up. It doesn't make any sense.
Unbelievable. Anyway, we're going to leave that for now because we've got some questions to answer. So let's start off with one that's sent in from Tom Bullivant, who says, I reckon, or he sent in a comment, I reckon Man City personally will win the league. Pep has shipped out the dead wood in the squad and replaced them with his own players to give them the quality he needs to succeed. Also, he says, Wagwan Max, with a big red circle. So, Max, do you want to say anything back to Tom?
No, not really.
What? No. Wow. Ruthless. But just on that then quickly, we'll bring in Ben. Ben, Man City, you still sticking with them not going for the title despite what Tom's saying there?
Oh, I reckon United signings have just got that little bit more Premier League experience. Mourinho's got that little bit more Premier League experience. His tactics are suited for the Premier League. Guardiola's still trying to bring his own game onto the Premier League. I don't think he's very willing to adapt to the Premier League. His teams are very much, we play my way or I leave. So I think there could be a little conflict of interest there between that.
Okay, we will have to wait and see. We've got another question sent in from Laura Deasy, who says, one for Max. Great show. How do you think Forest will do under Warburton this season?
I think I've said it many times. I think if we give him the right amount of time and the right resources to do his job, which I think we've done. We've gave him some coaching staff, a lot of money to spend this summer, but we haven't spent a lot, and I think that's very good. He's using it wisely, and obviously because of effort, financial fair play, Forest have to watch it because we've been hit with it before. But if we give him time, we give him a couple of seasons with the new ownership, I really do think we can be a top championship team and try and push for the Premier League, which I'd really like to see. But the only thing worries me is sometimes his short passes and his hospital passes that he normally that's in his style of football, which is something we're going to have to get used to it as Forest fans, because it did happen a lot on Friday night. But yeah, we'll see. I'm quite positive under, and I think he's a very good manager. So let's just hope for the best.
Fantastic. And the final question of this evening, which is for everyone, again from Tom Bullivant, but we're going to go to Amanda first. He asks, could Liverpool reach the top four, as he doesn't see why they can't due to a lethal front three and the rumoured signing of VVD? I've gone brain dead. I don't know who VVD is, so I'm going to hope. Who's that, Max?
No, same. I've got no idea who he is. I'll have a look now.
Virgil van Dijk.
Ah, yes.
Oh, Ben's on it again.
I just, yeah.
He's on fire.
Fair play, Ben. Fair play. So yeah, Amanda, do you think Liverpool could do it? Reach top 4?
I think there's definitely a possibility they could. I think obviously I put Arsenal amongst my top 4, but if they have a less than stellar season compared to Liverpool, then I think Liverpool could be right in there with a chance. But it's tough to call. It honestly depends on, especially kind of just how their seasons go. As I said, personally, I've noticed that Arsenal tend to fizzle out and Liverpool tend to do a bit better, but I'm not sure. Maybe it
is. So, Ashley, let's hear your thoughts very quickly.
Possibly if they keep the whole defence fit, because if they do bring in Van Dijk, but he gets injured, they'll have to go back to playing Lovren or Clavan at centre half, and to be honest, they're just awful. So I can't really see unless they have an absolute miracle and keep Van Dijk fit all season. He doesn't miss a game through suspension, injury, but I think they can. But other than that, to be fair, that's the same with the whole of their best team. If they can keep that fit, but if they lose Coutinho, then I reckon it's game over.
Okay, so another potential maybe there, I think. Let's go to Max. Max,
Yep.
Do you think they can do it?
Well, like I said earlier, yes, if they spam right, they time it right, and they get a good team together. They've got a good team together, I think, now. They need a few more additions to the squad to make it a solid team. We'll see. I'd like to see him in personally, because I really like Klopp as a manager. I just think he's really good, and I think it would be good for him and the fans to push for it and achieve it, really. So yeah, it is a possibility, but again, we'll see by the end of the season, because anything can happen, you see, in football.
There it is. Anything can happen. Let's go to Ben. Ben, complete it for us. Do you think they could do it?
No. No, I look at this in the terms of progression. I don't think as a team last season, Liverpool still had that same front three. They just made it, fair play to them. But I think this year they've got Champions League football to compete with. That's going to take a lot out of the players. I don't think their defence is in any way cut out for Champions League football. It's barely cut out for Premier League football. They're going to struggle with that. The Premier League is a tough league. You can't play Klopp's high press week in, week out, as showed last season. You're just going to be games where you're just too tired to play it. I think other teams around them have got better, and I question whether Liverpool have. Virgil van Dijk signing, without that, I don't give them any chance. With it, possibly, or I don't think one man could make up for three other slightly average defenders and a dodgy goalkeeper. So I think they'd need quite a few signings in the defence, plus Virgil van Dijk, if I was to consider them top 4 material.
Okay, well, there it is. Thank you very much, Tom, for your question, and thank you guys for answering that. Unfortunately, we have ran out of time. We've sort of ran over a little bit as well. But as usual, before we go off air this evening, what we normally do as a panel is just share how we can, how the followers, the listeners can follow you on social media. So let's kick things off with Ben. How can we follow you on social media?
It's at BennyBoy0702 on Twitter.
Fantastic. And we'll go to Max now.
Yeah, Max NFFC on Twitter, and Match Do Max on YouTube. Forest fan channel. Please go and check it out, because there's lots of videos on there that I think most football fans might enjoy.
Good stuff. Amanda.
You can follow me on Twitter at AJ_Smith95. Fair warning, though, it's mostly motorsport stuff going up.
That's all right. And how can we follow Overtake Motorsports? What's your Twitter handle?
Yep, the sister blog is at Overtake Motors on Twitter. We are Overtake Motorsport on Facebook. I don't think we have any other Instagram, but overtakemotorsport.com is the website if you want to check us out.
Fantastic, certainly will. And finally, Ashley, let's hear your social media.
Out of 4people96.
Fantastic. And mine, should you wish to follow, is at Danny Cook 1996. Thanks once again to the panel who have come on tonight. Some excellent efforts and some great insights. So thank you for contributing towards that tonight, guys. Really appreciate that.
No problem.
Good stuff. So I've been your host, Danny Cook, and that is all for the opening episode of TFF Talks Season 2, which was brought to you by Crofer Media and Halftime Cuppa, and is even sponsored by Classic 11 Shirts. Have yourself a very good